What would happen if every school in the country had access to orchestral musicians in their classrooms? Well, that's the question that Aurora Orchestra have decided to try and answer. But how are they going to do it? I'm here to find out. Why is it important for Aurora to do this huge range of innovative ways of connecting with new audiences in new ways?
We think about as many and as imaginative ways for people to access music as we possibly can. So it can be about taking music out of the concert hall to different spaces and just thinking in every kind of spectrum how we can make this music speak viscerally to as many people as possible.
So Nick, does that mean as a conductor that there's a connection between what you're doing on the concert platform when you're performing in that way and the education work, the ethos of Aurora?
Education was right there at the heart of Aurora from its first year, and as we go forward it is vital for us to be making sure that the future generations and indeed all generations are excited by music and have access to this. So it is really a core part of what we do.
Why is it important, and perhaps especially important, to give opportunity and access to people who haven't had the chance yet to develop their own close relationship with music, opportunities they haven't yet had?
There are so many different aspects to music which can enhance our lives. The excitement of it, the beauty of it, the space it can give, the calm it can give, the communication with others. When you're playing music, you know, that way of being able to communicate with other people non-verbally, which is such an important skill. And it really is something that musicians do to an extraordinary level. And I think, obviously I'm a passionate advocate of that being part of every child's education, but also it should be part of the continuing education of every human.
Here are a group of wild, anarchic dancers with the second violins and violas in the middle in a frenzy. And he adds the dance on top. And the bass line underneath. So how are Aurora going to give every school access to orchestral music? I asked their creative director, Jane Mitchell, why this project is so important for Aurora's musicians.
The idea has come out of wanting to reach more young people, but also empower more teachers. And we think as musicians, if you genuinely want to make music accessible to everyone, it's no good kind of keeping hold of all the tools yourself. You have to find ways to hand them over to other people. And it's really hard for schools to access live music and live musicians. So we wanted to see if we could produce something that could genuinely recreate that inspiring wow factor of live music, but be affordable, accessible, and ultimately sustainable for schools to use regularly.
So what have you all made?
Well, the first thing we did is we took one of our most popular shows for young children called Tchaikovsky and the Magical Toy Box, and we made a really beautiful film of the show. And then we've kind of built this world around it so that teachers get access to lesson plans, all of our recordings, teaching videos, and then they can follow a scheme of work which is built for them over a half term, or they can build their own programme by choosing from over 100 activities that they can use in the classroom. Using classroom instruments can be quite daunting for some teachers because they make a noise. And that's quite hard, so Jessie gives lots of ways to make it very clear how to stop them, pick them up, put them down, all those kind of, all the kind of admin around instruments, which can actually be quite tricky if you don't know the little tricks of the trade.
Shake and shake and shake and stop. Shake and shake and shake and stop.
And we also built a section for SEND settings where teachers can select strands of learning and create their own flexible schemes of work so that children with different needs and in different settings can also access the programme.
Are you ready? At my school, there are lots of children who struggle to transition to more formal learning opportunities, but we find that something like this really drives up participation, and they come and they take part because the demand is low, but the opportunities to learn are enormous.
The film itself is a beautiful and joyous example of many art forms coming together on the scale of making that film. I mean, that suggests also that here, through the resources you're providing, there are potential connections with not only the rest of the music curriculum, but the rest of the school day.
We've really thought a lot about how to make music central to the school day. So we cover all the fundamentals of music, so you can explore pitch and pulse and notation and singing and using classroom instruments and all the things you might expect from a music resource. But as well as that, because, as you say, we've got this cross-arts beautiful film, we can thread music right the way through the curriculum. So the resources range from writing a story to music and then using story maps to explore structures in music, to writing your own vocal warm-up using phonics that you might have been learning if you're in reception, and also from making puppets and rockets and magic wands, right the way through to a number bonds game that uses music where you have to listen out for a quacking duck. So our hope is that teachers really start to feel that there are so many ways in which music can be used throughout the school day, and we're actually really excited about the activities which allow teachers to bring music into free flow time in the classroom, which is so important for the youngest learners.
How can it continue and evolve over the next school years?
It is a really ambitious project and we're kind of aware of its ambition. And one thing that we're doing is really talking to teachers. We are providing CPD sessions for any school that wants to use the resources. So immediately we're striking up that conversation with teachers, and we're really keen for schools to stay in touch with us, give us feedback, and we're adapting the resources all the time depending on what teachers are actually finding, because of course in the end it's about how it actually works in the classroom. So one thing is building in that ability to stay in touch with schools and create that network so that we stay very much in touch with how they're working.
Small face, big face.
The children were pretending to be the river first and then the fish, and then what was happening. So it was like telling, I mean, the purpose of it is telling the stories through music, and I think it really worked because they instantly said, oh, the fish is sad because of the music, and then when you ask them, why do you think the fish is sad? Oh, because it's lonely. So other words came in, and then we explored what it meant and how you can move to express your feelings, and how you'd move if you were happy, how you'd move if you were sad. So a lot of emotional words and expressive language came out.
The set of resources that the teacher can use with Jessie teaching and having the option to teach themselves with very comprehensive lesson plans is an excellent way of enabling teachers to become music teachers, because they can see the exemplification of how it should be done, and then they can then take it on themselves and replicate that and develop that relationship with their class through music.
In terms of creative ideas, it feels like it's kind of the tip of the iceberg, really. This show, Tchaikovsky and the Magical Toy Box, is one of a big series of shows that we've done over the past kind of 8 years for young children. So in kind of waiting in the wings, we've got Beethoven and the Dinosaurs, Debussy and the Snow Elephant, Bartok and the Pirates. There are so many ideas waiting to be realised. We'd love to do a songbook for children, as well as at the moment the resources are for Key Stage 1 and early years and SEND settings, but we have all sorts of plans of expanding things into Key Stage 2 and even beyond. So yeah, it feels like there's a lot more to uncover here.
This is a deeply held mission for you personally.
I think it is, honestly, yes. And I think for so many of us here at Aurora, it's not an easy thing to create an orchestra and sustain an orchestra. And so the reason why we're doing that is because we're so passionate about music. So many people in the orchestra, we have children of our own now, and we believe passionately that music can have an enormous impact on them, and we really believe that can be the same for all children. So I think it's a real kind of deep personal passion for all of us, really, and we just want to kind of give that over, and so it's just trying to think of as many ways as possible, and that's what we're doing on the concert platform when we visit schools, but it's trying to think of a really kind of deep, meaningful way of doing that could be done on a very large scale.
And it's the same energy that inspires the concerts you do. I'm biased. I've had the privilege of working with you for a few years, but I feel that, and I think that's what audiences feel in concerts. The energy that you create on stage is of a generous sharing, and the way you're describing what the attitude to the education and to everything else is, that all of these things they're all together in terms of the ethos that drives everything that happens through Aurora.
I think it really does come from the central part of Aurora. I mean, the idea that we're kind of giving music to people, I think I'm hoping that comes across, and that really, I mean, otherwise, why are we doing it? But I think music can often be seen to be held by maybe an elite or specialist group of people, and actually, I think those of us who know it so deeply really believe that doesn't need to be the case at all, and actually, the opposite should be true. So it's finding ways to do that, and we really think these resources might have found a really good way.
Arts organisations like Aurora have so much to give young people at a time when arts budgets and music budgets and education budgets too are being squeezed. Projects like this have the chance to give a really sustainable future for access, for the idea that music is owned by the schools in which these projects are happening. The team at Aurora tell me there are projects coming up with Beethoven and dinosaurs and Mozart and gardening. Watch this space.